Welcome, I'm Reverend Jayne Coley, and today's talk is how you can go from doubting yourself to feeling confident. And as usual, I want to start with a couple of quotes. And the first one is by Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind. And he says, "You are to have implicit confidence in your own ability. It is the nature of thought to externalize in your health and affairs." And the second quote is by Christopher Reeves, and he says, "A hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles." And the last quote is by William Ivy Long. "Self-doubt is literally the twin of self-confidence." So how you can go from doubting yourself to feeling confident. I want to start off with a story. Years ago, I had this horse named Kitty, and she would spook at everything. She would just bolt and jerk her entire body a different direction and then the other direction. And then she'd try to buck me off. One time I was out riding and she just totally stopped in her tracks, and I flew gracefully over her head and landed on the ground right at her feet. And I was less than 1 foot from a 5-foot wooden fence. I can remember lying there in the dirt just shell-shocked, and my mind was racing. I felt overwhelmed. I felt sick to my stomach. Even now, thinking about it, I can feel sick to my stomach remembering it. And I was just shaking all over, and I was scared, and everywhere in my body hurt. And I realized that life has a way of bucking us off. And it might show up as the loss of a job, or an abrupt end to a relationship, or an unforeseen illness, or something in our financial picture. And it's easy to get stuck in self-doubt and to be afraid to move forward. There I was lying on the ground, and I can remember thinking, I heard this voice lying there. I remember this saying, "Get up, get back up. Don't let Kitty get away with that behavior." Well, I didn't feel like doing anything but lying there, but her foot was very close to my head. And as I stirred, she stepped back, and just her moving one step back, it made me feel like I was heard. She heard me. My mind flashed to all the times I had watched my mom thrown from a horse while training it. And I just thought, could I do it? Could I get back up? And my mind was just buzzing, saying like, "You're crazy. Walk her back to the barn. Forget it. You hurt yourself." But I kept seeing my mom and all the other trainers that I'd seen, the horse trainers, in my mind, and I kept remembering them getting right back up and riding again. And as I said with that quote with Christopher Reeves, I love it. A hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. This was an overwhelming obstacle. I was lying on the ground. Disciplining an 1,100-pound horse is not the same as disciplining a small child. And I felt so insecure, yet there was this voice, and it just kept saying, "Get back up like your mother does. And like every other trainer that you've seen, get back up." And I encourage you the same thing, that reach into your mind when you feel like you've been knocked down to the ground, and reach into who's the hero that's been in your life. An ordinary person that's got back up, that's been in a similar situation as you. And ask for that support. Maybe it's a spiritual practitioner. Maybe it is an individual that's known you a long time. You are not alone. And I was not alone. I realized I had to do something in that moment. And was it easy for me to get back up onto Kitty's back? Absolutely not. What helped me was the knowing that I had seen someone else who had gone before me, who had done this before, who had experienced this. And that's what I saw over and over in my mind. And I got back up. And I rode Kitty like never before. I was strong. I was in charge. And it was like there was this inner strength that, and it even excites me now to think about how I felt. It was so powerful getting back up, and I took charge of my life. Like I didn't let this circumstance of being bucked off, this condition, take me over. And I learned to reach for support. In my mind, I remembered these models of people that had gone before me. You're not alone. I'm not alone. I had another frightening experience about a month later with my horse Kitty, and it was an embarrassing incident with Kitty, and she abruptly threw me again right to the ground just as I was about to enter the showroom. Here I am going to, obviously to go in the show ring. I'm all dressed up in my equestrian habitat. I'm lying in the dirt and my pride's hurt. And I can remember just like, it wasn't so much that I was physically hurt. I was just like, oh my gosh, in front of everybody, does this really have to happen? And I couldn't run from it. Eventually I shut off my busy mind long enough to remember the same thing, that there was this small voice inside of me that was saying, yes, you can do this. And I looked over and there was my horse running off, and she took off around the outside, and yes, it was very awkward. Yes, it was embarrassing, as I recall, but I got up. And I know I reached out, and that for a couple of days, I was shocked about the experience. I felt I was belittling my abilities. I doubted myself. I knew that I couldn't make the problem go away myself. Here I was in the same situation again. I couldn't run from it. And when I shut my mind off long enough, I heard very clearly, get support, get a trainer. Well, I did just that. I reached out for support. I am not alone. You're not alone. You can reach for support. I hired 2 trainers, a husband and a wife team. And as Ernest Holmes said, as I mentioned earlier, you are to have implicit confidence in your own ability. It took work. It took daily discipline and believing in myself, building up my self-confidence with these trainers. And my horse and I, we went on to be state champions that year. The word confidence, that there was this confidence, this self-confidence that built to me. The word confidence means a firm trust. I learned to trust in my abilities. I went from self-doubt to self-confident. After reaching for support, clearly I reached for support. I was not alone. You are not alone. Find the hero in your story. Like I found, and I remembered the other trainers that had gone before me. There is a hero. You too can rise up from whatever condition outwardly is going on in your life. Be the hero in your own story. Remember what Long said, self-doubt is literally the twin of self-confidence. Self-doubt is the twin of self-confidence. Even with getting bucked off twice, reaching out for support and realizing I was not alone and on to working with trainers, I felt like a hero in my own story. When you feel overwhelmed by self-doubt, reach for support. Again, you are not alone. That's why we have Yanav. That's why it's called Yanav. Y-A-N-A. You are not alone. Call somebody who can support you, someone that you know will help lift you up, who's gone before you, who can help regain your self-confidence in your abilities. To paraphrase Reeves, be the hero, the ordinary person who finds the strength to persevere in spite of the outside conditions, the obstacles. You can. That small voice inside of you is constantly saying you can. To paraphrase Ernest Holmes, we need to embody 3 different types of believing of self-confidence. Believing and trusting in ourselves is number 1. Believing in humankind and believing in God or divine power. I've got to say, it takes practice, practice, practice. 3 steps that I found to go from self-doubting and my abilities to regaining confidence was that I did the daily practice. Being mindful of those self-doubt thoughts. I'd catch myself, oh, you're a crappy rider. Remember when you got bucked up? I'd go, no. I got back on again. I got support. This is a spiritual practice, disciplining the mind from self-doubt, from self-doubting thoughts. It transforms us from these limiting thoughts into ones that I can, I am. The second one is opening to believing in ourselves by being open to this power that's greater than us, trusting ourselves. I had to open. I couldn't fix it myself. I reached out for support, and then I had to pull out the strength from within me. And the third point is listening to the silence of that still voice. I had to listen in those incidents of being bucked off. I had to hear that voice that said, somebody's gone before you. Somebody's done this before. Your mother, other trainers, you've seen them get back up. You can get back up. And I say that to you. You can. We can. And I want to close by doing an actual practice of transforming somewhere in your area where you want more confidence. So I want you to just allow yourself to bring that up in your mind's eye. Where do you want more confidence in your life? Whether it's your work, how you feel about yourself physically, maybe it's in a relationship, in your connection, maybe it's in your spiritual practice. Where do you want more confidence? So now just slowly close your eyes and allow yourself to just sink and settle into the armchair of God, into the arms of the divine. Relax. God's got this. Let it go. Allow yourself to feel the love of God. Allow yourself to feel the warmth of God's love. It's always there. Allow yourself to feel the embodiment of the truth that God's always got your back. The confidence of God, the truth of God. Now, seeing God, know that God lives in, through, and as you, and is always seeking greater expression. Just see that as though now it is spring rising up from within you, bursting forth as you are, God made manifest. You have this innate inner voice that's always speaking with you, giving you direction, helping you, pointing where support is in your life. See yourself as God made manifest, as this loving, open, confident being. And just a moment now to let yourself feel more confident. Let yourself feel it in your hands, tingling, in your stomach, settled, knowing God's got you. You're supported. You are not alone. You are supported with this higher part of you, this big S, the self, God. Hear that truth, that wisdom of God, the voice of truth, the voice of confidence. I can. You can. We can. Be the hero in your own story. Rise above and beyond, using the power found within. Reach for support. You are not alone. Thank you. I love you.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.